I'll wait for YouTube to kick over. Let's do it. Okay. And we're good. All right. I think it's actually just you and I in here right now. That's fine. So
it might be that way.
that's totally fine. We're just gonna run with that. So this show is something that the Blues and I right over here on my screen that we have talked about kind of for a while, and something that we've noticed on a lot on eBay, and a lot of it is just some like not good titles or listings, or a lot of things that is whether done intentionally or unintentionally is done to fool, to scam, um, collectors, whether new or old, or to just put listings out there that are just fictitious. So I talked Blues into joining me today. Kind of twisted his arm on it. So, what we're gonna do is that we're gonna go through some eBay listings, and just to the hope is that we bring awareness to what is current, like what is out there, what to look for. There's going to be some references that I'm going to put up. Some of the main references that I'm going to talk about tonight is, number one is the Red Book. So if you don't know what the Red Book is, the Red Book is something that looks exactly like this. So I strongly encourage getting yourself a Red Book, because there's a lot of information, a lot of great information in here. Specifically, it will show you years, mintages, mint marks. It has a lot of information so that you can reference the things that you see, to see, hey, like, is there a reason why, one coin versus another coin is worth that much more? Well, it could be based off of total mintage. It could be because of, other types of varieties or anything else. So if you don't already have one of these, get yourself a Red Book. It is really a really core staple in basically anything that I deal with coins, in terms of U.S. coins. I also have effectively a Red Book for Canadian coins, just because like everything that I write down on my holders and everything in regards to description of coins is always going to be the same information that you're going to find in here: year, mint mark, the type, and then especially the mintage, because that helps me reference anything that I need to find for anything regarding coins. So if you don't have one, that should be a key piece in your arsenal as a coin collector. The second one is, put this up on the screen, is Error Ref. If you have not seen Error Ref, this again should be a really core staple in anything that you do with the learning of numismatics. I spent several weeks going through, as an early collector, learning everything that I can about numismatics, specifically how coins are made, like to the point where, I have reverse engineered the dies in their configuration for the different coins. So to the point where I am basically designing a small version of a minting press, so that I can make educational videos on how these types of errors and production mistakes are made. A really definitive distinction is there are errors and there are varieties. A variety is a die variety, so that is a change in the design of of a die that is then struck onto the coin. Errors are what's happened to the coins or to the equipment during the production process. So based off of how the outcome of what the coin looks like, or other factors, that is the difference between a die variety and an error. A lot of newer collectors, myself included, when I was a newer collector, I thought that those things were interchangeable, and they're really not. So understanding the difference of a die variety and error, so that when we are looking for these things to try to cherry pick them or increase our collection, those are some of the things that we need to know. What's up, Coin Dragon? How are you, man? So that's die variety and error. Um, Error ref, if you don't already have this bookmarked, I would strongly encourage you to bookmark this and really learn a lot about the different things that can happen during the production process of coins. Because as you see things on coins, specifically as you start getting into die varieties and doubled dies and machine doubling, it is one of kind of the hardest things that I had to learn as a newer collector is how to distinguish between a doubled die and a machine doubled strike. Because as an early collector, I thought everything that I found was some kind of error or variety, and it really wasn't. But this is one of the resources that I used to really teach myself all those different things, and specifically how they happen. You got a 2 cents on error ref?
Yeah, one thing that I would strongly recommend and suggest is if you're going to learn anything about coins with dealing with errors or varieties, learn the minting process. You will figure out real fast that this is not an error, this is a garbage coin, this is man made, just by having that knowledge. So that's it took me a long time to kind of grasp that, and still a little fuzzy on it even after being a coin collector and in this market for what 6 years now.
Yeah.
So but I know I got error ref, I got reference books, I got CJ I could send messages to and ask. um, Internet's really good to try to find some information. So just don't automatically assume just because you see a funny mark on a coin, it's an error.
Very true. Okay. So what we're gonna do is that we are just gonna bring up eBay. So this is the eBay main page, and this is literally under U.S. coins. So it's gonna be under coins and paper money, U.S. coins, and then literally just the category of errors. And this is just one of those things. Oops, that was not the right. What happened there? Oh, it didn't load. Okay. Here we go. This is one of those things that when we see um, posts of error coins, it kind of makes me a little bit nutty, because with just some very very basic knowledge of coins, of numismatics, the production process, it is absolutely one of those things that if you just look at it, you can immediately tell that there's something wrong with it. So I just saw this one right here. Um, that it literally is the first one on this list. So this says the title is 1968 D Lincoln verse Memorial Penny Rare. So I'm just going to take a second and kind of dissect. Looking at the picture, this is a brown coin. And if you know anything about 1968, which we are going to look it up look up in the book. 1968. That's the wrong direction. So 1968. That's a Denver, and Denver has 2.8 billion minted. So number one, this coin is not rare. Like 2.8 billion is not a rarity by any stretch of the imagination. So already, like, I would have concerns of how they are determining that this is a rare coin. So I'm gonna just look into this, and so just looking at this coin, this is a very common brown. It's got marks all over it. The steps are worn away. So there's nothing about this coin that screams that anything outside. You would find this coin in pocket change. So just the fact that this is listed for $250, um, it is, in my opinion, it is a fictitious listing. Now the question and why that we're talking about this kind of stuff is, what's the reason why somebody had posted this for $250? Is it that they are doing it intentionally or unintentionally? And that's really what we don't know. Some factors that I would look at, as far as maybe they don't know what they're doing, and thinking that they just have something rare. I'll use in quotations. Is take a look at at the feedback for that profile. If the feedback is zero, it is probably somebody that really doesn't know what it is, and they Googled it and they think that they have something quote unquote rare when they really don't. Anyone with a red book, or a few hours of technical research, would really just determine that $250 for a 1968 brown memorial penny, especially in the very circulated condition that it's in, is nowhere near worth $250. It's worth a few cents, and that's about it. It's the bronze alloy, so it's got some copper value, but other than that, like, as terms of numismatically, it's extremely common. It's not red, and the condition overall is just not what you would have as far as a baseline to bring significant value. So that's my thoughts on that one. You got a nickel?
Yeah, I found one.
Okay. Stand by. Gonna kick this up. All right, let's talk about your nickel.
1980 nickel error coin strike error. Now, I already know what's going on with this coin, but for someone that is uneducated about the minting process and how coins are made, I could actually maybe see a point that they might think this is an error. I didn't go through the guy's other listing to see if there was a whole bunch of listings claiming error coins. This could actually just be a one off because he's just not educated on it. But I'm definitely seeing some type of wire cutters on this, some type of snips.
What does the back look like?
And then when you see something on the front that kind of looks okay, that might look like some type of snipping tool, scissors, cutters. if you see the same type of marks on the back that line up with it, then you could pretty much determine that someone took a pair of wire cutters to that, tin snips, something along those lines.
So a couple of things that I'll drop in here. Specifically, what Blues is talking about is going back to understanding the minting process. If you have a something, some kind of deviation of design that is going through the rim, it couldn't have happened at the mint. And specifically, here's why. During the production process, you have the blanks that are punched out of the strips. Then they go through the upset mill, which creates the raised edge, and then it goes through the striking process. So to have an anomaly that affects the rim, that it would effectively it would fail the minting process, or that if it was able to be, in input into the striking chamber, the 48 tons of force or whatever it is would have obliterated any kind of defect, that it potentially would have caused. So that understanding, having the front and back, and having it, break and um, disturb the rim, and the design, it is absolutely something that could only have been done post mint, which is commonly called PMD, or post mint damage.
Excellent.
I got another one up here.
This is going to be kind of fun.
So this one right here, this is one that I actually see pretty commonly. This one right here, the 1960 penny, no mint mark error, L on the rim. So number one, let's just take a kind of a dive into the title itself. 1960 again is a very common coin. The no mint mark error. The no mint mark error only applies, and I'm going to say this like 3 times in a row just to make it the most obvious. The no mint mark error specifically applies to proof coinage. All proof coinage have mint marks. There are some that have been found that are missing their respective mint mark. Generally, it's the S, but sometimes it's not. That is basically, I think there's maybe a small exception, but that is the only error, no mint mark. Any coins outside of that do not have a mint mark are produced at the Philadelphia Mint. So no mint mark, 99.99% of the time means Philadelphia. Now, there are a few exceptions. During the 60s, there are no mint mark coins that were produced both at San Francisco, West Point, and Philadelphia, for the sake of the need. And then 2017 Lincoln Cent had a P mint mark to celebrate, it was like the 225th anniversary. And specifically in the Lincoln Cent, that was the only year, 2017, that the Lincoln Cent in any its variation had the P mint mark. Otherwise, the Lincoln Cent for Philadelphia has never had a mint mark. So going back to this example, yeah, it doesn't have a mint mark, and then it's not an error. It was minted in Philadelphia. Philadelphia didn't use mint marks on the pennies, except for 2017. The L on the rim. This is one that I see extremely often, and it literally means nothing. What is talking about? It's the L on Liberty, and there is, and I haven't been able to really find like where this is coming from, but there is this understanding, or this belief that having the L touching the rim like is defined as some kind of error or a die variety when it's not. It has nothing to do with either one of those. So it can be very common, especially in the 60s, when you have a lot of coinage and the dies are heavily used, 50s as well. It literally means nothing. Now, I will call out the good thing on 3.1 gram. Yes, this is a coin that was struck prior to 1983/82. So yes, it should be a 3.1 gram planchet, because that was the standard production for that coin. So they highlighted the Liberty here, and then 1960 from here. It looks like a large state, but all of this, um, no, there's like this is saying a small rim here and a wide rim here, and then it's off centered, which is not accurate. Now, if you go back to error ref and we look at off centered, they actually have an example of an off centered. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Do, 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 do. This is an example of an off centered. Now, that is a kind of no, it's a die cap. Here we go. Off centered. This is a color scar. Like these are off centered. This coin is not an off centered at all. Now, there are ones that you can find where it's called a misaligned die or a MAD, but it does not bring any value. And all that is saying is that the die, one of the dies, was misaligned and it wasn't exactly straight up and down. So it's going to kind of offset the design a little bit. However, if you still have the full set of design on the face of the coin, it brings no extra value. The only time that you're gonna get a definitive like error value is if it actually cuts off the design. So if it cuts off the "In God We Trust," through half of it, that's when you're gonna start to see some kind of value added to it because it is a very obtuse error. So this particular coin that is listed at $210. This, for all sakes of the uh, the condition that it's in. It's a very common 1960 Philadelphia pocket change and worth 3 to 4 cents at most. You got another one?
I got a great one.
Send it. Ooh, that is going to be a good one.
That is going to be a good one, ain't it?
Uh-huh.
You will actually come across these types of listings with this type of coin. Mostly, I've seen them on the pennies. Every once in a while, you'll see one on a nickel. I don't think I've ever seen one on a quarter or a half. But you will see this mostly on the pennies. And this is just two coins that are just pressed together, is all it is.
And specifically, how would you tell that they're pressed together?
One, when you look at the lettering, it is backwards.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that's one of the first giveaways. I also look at the rim to see if, like these marks right here, that is probably most likely vice marks from the vice.
I think those are actually letters, but I think what you're talking about is a vice job,
Yeah.
which is commonly how these are done is they put two coins in a vice and then squeeze them together. Yeah, you can see the 1 cent the O and N is backwards, which that can't happen. And then you can see on the obverse side, you can see the rim that's actually pushed into the face of the coin. Yeah, so that mark right under in.
Yeah.
So that would be the rim of the coin that's, on top being pushed into the face of it.
Right. So you could see it come down right across there. And I think you want to, I really want to say you see a lot of this on the pennies, because aren't the cents just going to be a little bit softer metal, so this will happen more easier
Yeah.
or
Well,
easily.
yep.
I'm just making up words.
It's totally okay. So
Words
yeah,
are hard.
so a couple of things is look at the rim. Like, does it disturb the rim? And understanding that if it disturbs the rim, it can't happen pre-strike. So it's always post mint. If the letters are reversed, again, it physically can't happen in striking. So, like, consider how these things can happen. And if you just look at those few things, like, you could see the rim, you can see the letters are backwards, and you can see the rim is disturbed. Absolutely, that's post mint.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I like it, but I go into my shop and I can make my own.
For sure.
So, yep, you will see this one a lot.
Yeah, you will.
And Dragon's got to go run to the house.
I've got a good one.
Yeah, he's going to run to his shop and he's going to go see if he could make one of those.
Okay, ready for this one?
Let's bring it.
This one's gonna be painful. So this is a USA $quarter error coin, as it's listed. This is what is most pleasantly described as a parking lot coin. This is a coin that has been used, abused, trashed, thrown away. There is nothing about this coin that carries any kind of error. It's missing the entire rim. This coin is trashed. It is absolutely garbage. And like, this is one of those things that like what is the error here? And the answer is there is no error. There's nothing about an error in the production process that could cause something to look like this. This is all post mint damage, and it has a great pain to my soul, as a numismatic connoisseur, to see coins like this, that are listed as an error coin, because this is garbage. This is barely worth face value, just based off this condition. There's nothing about this coin, that is worth, really anything. This is a terrible coin, and I feel sorry for it because it is not an error. And I even looked at the description, and it's very basic. It just says error coin. And it's not an error coin. And don't let things like this distract you from, like, the reality of this is garbage. If don't post stuff like this, don't think this is an error. Like, if you believe this is an error, you should be able to explain it through the minting process. So again, going back to error ref, like what in the error ref, whether it's a striking error, whether it's it's got this has even a um, some post mint strike modifications, like the one Blues was just talking about. They actually have this is post mint damage, so PMD. Is not an error, but it goes back to if you think that you have some kind of error coin, you should be able to explain the error through the minting process. Poor quarter.
Hmm.
Poor quarter.
Yeah, that quarter was rough.
Dude, it's yeah, it definitely has seen better days. It makes me sad. And the other thing that that I will call out is that, especially with somebody looking for an error on eBay, is describe what error it is in the description. Say it's an off-centered. Say it's a you know um, color issues. Like, explain what it is, so that when a collector that's looking to add one of those into their into their collection, they could readily identify what it is.
Yep. And I'm kind of glad you led with that statement, because the next one I got up, it will be a good example of that.
Send it.
So, error coin lot, 11 coins, off center, broad strike, clip, die class, and chip, which would be die chip.
Okay.
All right. That's a nice looking lot of coins right there.
Yeah, it's not bad.
All right. Got that. You got the quarter right in the middle, a little off center. 2 pennies on the bottom that are clipped. 2000. Oh my goodness. That'd
That
be
that quarter in the middle. I would like to see the other side to see if it's actually misaligned, or if it's off center. Off
right.
center, we would need to see both sides.
Yeah. Broad strike.
You would have to zoom it in. Looks pretty good.
All right. There's a clip. I'm sure
Clip.
this is going to be one that probably has a die chip. Another clip there.
Looks like a little broad.
Little broad on that. Right on the tip of his nose. Got a die chip. This is the only one
Straight
I
red.
have concerns with.
I would like a closer view.
Yeah,
But what I
he's got more pictures, so we'll get through them.
okay.
So there's what we're looking at. So there's the quarter. We'll just go down to pictures here. There's the nice die chip.
Okay.
Okay,
Chip
there's
in the
that
middle.
other quarter die chip on his cheek. All right, like that. Good photos of that. Um, Photos kind of washed out on this one, but I'm sure there's a die chip someplace that we're not seeing.
Okay.
Oop, that one. Now that's the penny I have concerns with. We'll see if there's a picture of the back of it. Little broad stripe, another curved. Okay, so there's
Oh, there's that back of that quarter. The one that's I think because of the how centered the design is, I think it actually might be Might be a mad. I could, I don't know. It could be off centered.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's not super dramatic. Like yes, it is dramatic, but
Okay, so well,
broad.
now the one thing I'm not seeing on these clips, shouldn't there be a Blake's Blakely effect?
Effect, yeah. So normally you would see, and it's just a weakness. It's not like it that it's missing, but it would be a weakness in the design opposite the clip. So the pictures don't have a lot of detail, which is really kind of unfortunate because I would like there to be some better pictures. Now, what I will say is that if a kind of a key way to tell if a clip is legitimate is to look at the edges of the rim as it comes down to the clip. Now, if it's a clip, then the edges will like come down to a point of where the clip is. It won't be straight cut off. So
Yep.
it won't look like a T, it'll be tapered down.
And
So
the edges won't be jagged either.
no. No, so the Blakesley effect is what you will see is in you will have a weakness in basically the rim opposite the clip. And what that is stemming from is that is stemming from the upset mill process. So how the upset mill works is that there's basically two walls that the coin is rolled through. And if it's missing a portion of the rim, during that rolling process, there isn't enough pressure to create the upset mill opposite the clip part. So because it's actually missing the metal right there. So that's why you'll have a weakness on the opposite. Is because there's not the metal there to create the wedge, which creates the upset rim.
Yeah. Okay, now there's that one in question. I'm not seeing nothing on the opposite side. It looks a little jagged to me.
That one, I'm kind of half and half on.
I
Uh,
I am
like
too.
just like yeah, I'm not really seeing a Blakesley effect. It like just from this view, I think the edges as it comes down to the actual clip part looks pretty good, but I would definitely want to say um, a
You
some
go back.
better pictures on that particular one.
No, not that one. That one. So there's the front. So you could see it coming down on both sides. It, that
Yeah.
looks jet. It. I'm on the fence with it.
Yeah, I would be on the fence too. And with the die chips, like I used to collect a lot of die chips, but there's unless it's like significant to the point where it covers up, devices, there isn't uh, there isn't really a lot of value in them.
Okay, so the photo. So there's the North Carolina
But overall, I think this
2001.
listing is actually a good example of this is a pretty accurate description of everything that's in this listing.
Yeah, he's got some nice coins there. Don't get me wrong. He's got some nice coins in this lot
Yeah.
for a lot of 11. So, but yeah. So I don't think there was no. Nope. Nothing in description.
Just here's what it is.
Yep, just here. Yep. 11 coins. Here's my shipping. Have a nice day. Short, simple, to the point. Can't go wrong.
Okay.
All right. So that was a good listing. I like that listing.
So I clicked on this 1971 double die reverse, listed for $124. Taking pictures can be sometimes difficult. But the other thing is that 1971, like, it's not even listed that it's a D, but it should be doubled die reverse, not double die. But they're looking at this picture. There's nothing on here that would even tell me that this is a double die. There's nothing in this picture that says that there's doubling. It doesn't tell me where. It doesn't tell me which number. And if I happen to go to, I'm just going to pull up a Variety Vista, which has a listing of double to dies. There is no current listings for a 1971 double die reverse. So this is example of, like, I can't really tell the intention of the lister or the seller of this coin, other than this coin right here is an example of, this is something that you can find in your pocket change. It is not worth $124. It's worth maybe a few cents. But this is not air. Nothing wrong with it. This is common. It's brown. You can find in your pocket change. Not an error. And specifically in this listing, it's not a variety either, because this one is saying that it's a double die reverse, which is a die variety, not an error. If you don't, I got another one.
Go ahead.
Okay. So this one is one that really gets under my skin. Right here, 1970S Lincoln Memorial Penny, floating roof, DDR, DDO, mint BU set. So let's just unpack the title for a second. Floating roof. Floating roof is descriptive of, on the reverse of the Lincoln set Memorial, that there is a pretty heavy die abrasion, that they have, over polished. Very nice coin, Dragon. That they have over polished the die, which has removed some of the devices that, basically the stanchions that hold up, that are underneath the roof portion. Why that this is particularly called out is this is a long-standing belief that it was a die variety. Old holders back in the day used to classify the floating roof as an actual die variety, when it was never. It was just an overbraided die. All of the third-party grading companies have stopped classifying floating roof as die variety, because it is not a die variety. It is not an error. It's not a variety. It is nothing. It is just an over polished die. So it is not even a thing anymore. Now, we'll go to the DDR DDO. So DDR DDO would be double die reverse and double die obverse. But the chances of both of those happening on a single coin is 1 in about 1.5 million. There are some coins that actually have true identified and attributed double die obverse and reverse. However, those are 1 in several billion coins. Not something that you would generally find on just every other coin that you look at. So I would have questions based off of this picture, the mint BU set. So we're going to look at this. And everything about this coin, just in this description is, oh, this is perfect. So this right here, this is the furthest from mint BU that you could possibly get. So mint BU would normally describe a brilliant uncirculated. What that should mean is that this coin has not been circulated, and it is a BU coin. So it should be, technically it should be a red, which describes the color. This is a fully circulated, fully brown 1970s. And in the pictures, you can look at it, and there's nothing in here that shows any doubling, whether it's mechanical or otherwise. So I am, and the fact is that they are calling it a floating roof, and it actually has right there. It is not a floating roof.
It has the line.
So if this was completely gone from both sides, technically somebody could call it floating roof, but going back to the floating roof, it's not a thing. So this is one of the examples with this particular seller that they have 2 feedback. I would probably leverage that they don't know what they're doing. I'm going to leverage on, I don't think it's intentional. I think that some people have an idea that, hey, I looked up this 1970 coin and Google tells me it's worth $500. So that's going to be, what I want to get from it. This coin is not worth $500. There's nothing about this coin that is worth more than 2 or 3 cents. So don't get sucked into the listing that it has all of these errors, because having one error is significant enough. Having multiple errors doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. All right, send it.
1942D Lincoln Cent rippled era coin.
Rippled. That's a
new word for me. I was going to ask you if you ever heard of that terminology.
I've heard of whizzed. I've heard of waffled, which is an actual process. I have not heard of rippled.
I have not heard of rippled either, but let's see if we could dissect the coin and see what he's seeing. So I see some dye deterioration on the top. Nothing basically from his eyeball down, except for a worn coin. There's another picture of it. See, we got a picture of the back of the coin. Yeah.
Oh, so it's like an orange peel.
It's like an orange peel.
Okay. So what you were referencing is extreme dye deterioration. Yes. So extreme dye deterioration. Now, in my experience, the dye deterioration that comes across as like orange peel or whatever, you see generally in like the 50s Jefferson nickels, because those things were abused, like so abused. Those dyes were run literally into the ground, and that's where you see a lot of the extreme dye deterioration, where it basically just it creates uneven surfaces. It kind of like stretch out, elongates the devices going towards the rim. So it's actually kind of interesting that we see it here on a Lincoln cent, but my 2 cents is that something like this that is that I would more classify, something that is, I don't feel that it is a error. I definitely don't think it's $99 worth.
Okay, now there are collectors out there that look for severe dye deterioration coins. They think they're cool. They love to collect them. So I could actually see someone buying this, but not at that price. If it was $1, I could actually see someone buying it just because it fits into what their collecting needs are. And if they're really into that orange peel dye deterioration look on coins, because that's what is eye appealing to them, yeah, I could actually see a value on this coin for that reason. Um, Biggest thing I could say is don't make up words. You seller might not know the correct terminology for it, and rippled effect came up to mind, and I could actually see how he came up with that word, but I don't know. I'm kind of a loss for words because I got really stuck on ripple bad.
So actually, CoinDragon actually put the link in there for the actual listing, and looking at in just bigger pictures, man, it just I have a lot of questions in it. But the other thing is that let's just take a minute and talk about photography of coins. Um, don't take pictures through something reflective. Take it out of the holder and get clean pictures, because there is so much reflection that I really don't know if I'm seeing scratches on the holder or scratches on the coin. Like, and as a potential purveyor or purchaser of said item, I want to see it raw if it's possible. If it's not, then make sure that you have really good lighting and you take clear, straight on pictures. Having it every single picture at an angle and you have the reflection of the light, it's not doing it any justice.
I think I actually have an explanation on on this.
What do you got?
Um, Old snap pressed together case.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Um, if you look at the edge of the lettering, you could actually see the yellowing of the tape.
Okay.
So this might have been found in a storage unit that he bought. It might have been in a lot of something he found at a garage sale. Bunch of places he just could have came across this particular coin, and he goes, well, it's marked, let me put it on eBay and see if I get some money for it.
I mean, that's fair, but you are also not doing yourself justice to
Not doing
your
it.
your your potential audience.
Yeah. And I'm just getting off of that because I just happened to notice the tape, the yellowing of the tape, which tells me that's
It's old.
it's old. So,
That's fair.
all right, that's fair. Next victim. I hate to say it that way, but yeah.
I mean, it's so 2006 D Lincoln Cent lamination crack and strike error. So already let's call out the obvious. You can't have a lamination on a 2006 D, or specifically on a 2006. And why is that? Well, let's go back to understanding how coins are minted. Um, Late in 1982, fully starting in 1983, the Lincoln Cents were made with a zinc core and a very, very thin copper jacket. The term lamination comes from an issue with the mixing and rolling of the raw materials. So the bronze that was used to strike earlier League Sense was a mixture of bronze, tin, and I think some other metals, or copper, tin, and there's something else. I know there is. But there is an improper mixture that the metal does not really get mixed very well. And when it's not mixed very well and it's rolled out, then it can delaminate. That's where the lamination comes from. So the fact that they are calling whatever this is a lamination crack, it physically can't happen on a 2006 because it's not even minted in that format. So that's my first issue. They are also calling a strike error, which in these pictures there's nothing in here that says that it's a strike error. I love just because of my own fury. I love these really grainy pictures that are super zoomed in that have just random things circled in red. It drives me absolute nuts because it does not tell me anything about what I'm supposed to be looking at. I see part of America and it's super blurry. What frustrates me is situations like this, where this coin has damage all over it, which is basically everything that this person has circled. This is a damaged coin, and again, this is a brown 2006. There's nothing special about this coin. It's not red. It's brown. Easy find a pocket change. It is not lamination. There is no strike damage. And what I'm probably most, I guess, upset about for new collectors coming into the hobby is the pricing. So they're going to start this bid at $200, and to buy this coin right now, they're going to sell it to you for $450. Now, to me, this borderlines on either ignorance or scam. Like, this to me would borderline on, I found this coin, like something somewhere has told me that it's gonna be worth X amount. So that's what that's what I am going to expect to get from it. And that's not reality. Again, do not use current live listings of coins to valuate coinage, because this is not an accurate reflection of a true valuation of an error coin when it's not even an error coin. So stuff like this is what makes me like the most upset as a collector, and especially what concerns me about new collectors getting into the hobby, because if they're just searching up error coins, like, this is what they're presented, and everything about this is wrong. All right, I'll put some box of that. You got one?
I got one.
Okay.
2019 Jefferson nickel thick planchet. Now, this is not the cover photo that you see on eBay. This is a photo that's in his listing, but I put this one up first.
Okay.
All right. So, yep, definitely a thick planchet. Straight on view.
Ooh.
You
I
can
already know where
start
that's
to
going.
see it right on the very edge. You could see where it's starting to roll in. You should see the same thing on the back side. Starting to roll in just a tiny bit. And this photo pretty much sums it up. You could see that right along the edge of the lettering to the rim, you could start to see it roll in a little bit. Dryer coin is what I put.
I think they actually call that a spoon, because dryer coins like kind of remove the outside, but I would call that one a spoon.
Yeah, okay. I could see that.
Yeah, dry coins like just kind of obliterates the whole design. So that one I would more closely identify with spooned, where you have a more pronounced a more pronounced rim, and it's very flat and very straight. When compared to regular coins, the edge kind of curves down to the outside before it hits the straight portion. And that is so this example is post mint damage, because going back to the minting process, like there's nothing about this that happens at the mint. Like the rim is deformed, so that right there, you already know it's post mint, um, and that it is not actually a thick planchet. It is just the rim has been flattened, um, which makes it look bigger. So that I would guarantee that if you measured this coin with this flat rim and you measured a nickel, your flat rim one is going to be physically smaller, which is another way to tell if you have, what, $20 set of calipers that you can get off of Amazon. Is that measure your coin, and it will be physically smaller because the rim that started out from here has been spooned in, and it's slightly smaller and flush.
Now, is there any? How would a coin become spooned?
Uh,
I
there's
only know of one way, and it goes back to way back in the day where they just hold the coin and they actually just rotated it and hit it.
you could do the same thing, but you can roll it,
So it could be on some
between.
type of rolling platform where it just rolls it back and forth with a little bit
Yeah.
of pressure.
Hmm.
Okay.
So I mean, there are a few ways, especially with machinery, like you can do it. Um, yeah, but your statement of hitting it with a spoon, that's 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 where the term spooned comes from. It's because that's how they did that.
All right. I'm getting off of this picture because it keeps staring at me.
So I did pull
Those
up an
eyes,
example
man.
of. So this is a good example of what a dryer coin would be.
There we go.
So where you can see the rim has actually been folded in, and it did just the whole design is just very melted, basically. So this would be a dryer coin.
There we go. See, even I get it messed up sometimes.
I mean, you were literally right in the same realm. So I wouldn't say that you specifically got it wrong, because you were in the right spot. I'm gonna jump to commemoratives real quick. So something that I wanted to talk about, in terms of this is a little bit off errors, um, and more into some of the commemorative coins. A lot of people know me. I'm very big into commemoratives. I have a video that I've put together for the entire U.S. Classic Commemorative Series. It's on my channel. So, go to my channel and you can see it's on my playlist of U.S. commemoratives. But this is one thing that I'm always looking to get good deals on commemoratives, because I think they are so neat. And this example right here, this is a 1926 S Oregon Trail Memorial $50. They have for $24. I already have significant concerns because overall it looks very dark. So I'm going to click on this and see if I'm right. And I'm right. So you can see that the overall design of it it's in the correct configuration of the design. But what I will say is that everything about this coin is fake. And here's why. There's a lot of details that is missing from this. You can see the splattering, um, that is not consistent with the design. And what this is that this is a poorly made copy of a die or copy of a copy, that was used to strike a counterfeit commemorative half dollar. Here's the other thing that I will point out that should be a like two things that should be blazingly obvious. Number one, you look at the user and how many feedback do they have? They have zero. And if you look at the other items that the seller has, they probably only have one or two items, and they'll look exactly like this. Here's the other one. It's coming out of China. This is a Chinese copy counterfeit. So don't be fooled to say, hey, I can get this coin for super cheap. Yes, you can, but you're not getting the coin that you're expecting to get. If you actually look at your red book and you look at what a lower grade commemorative would run you, $24 is way too cheap. Remember, the commemoratives, all of the commemoratives are silver coins. So this particular is a counterfeit, and it's very frustrating to see Chinese counterfeits being blatantly posted on eBay like this. So do not be fooled. Do not buy these Chinese counterfeits because they are not silver. They are not real. Um, don't support this false posting. So I saw that one right off right off the top of my head. Here's another one that says 1972 DDO. Let's take a look at this because 1972 Philadelphia. There is actually a double die obverse that is known to exist on that 1972. So let's see if this one is accurate. So we look at the back. There's nothing on the back. We look at the obverse. So on this obverse, it actually looks like that this is a legitimate 1972 DDO. So you can see in of how the letters are basically separated. There is a website that we can go to, and is going to be Variety Vista. This is one that I have. So we're going to look at LMC, Lincoln Memorial Cents, doubled dies, 1959, and we're going to go to the DDO listings right here on the left. We're going to go to 1972. So 1972 is going to be right here, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. And then we are going to look for, so here there are a couple ones. So there's the big one right here that has a double die on the date. Then we have some that are kind of, opposite sides. So we're going to look at this one, this FS 102. And so we take this picture and we compare it to what we have here. So just looking at the few pictures, it looks pretty decent to, so if you look at Liberty, the Liberty should be doubles. So let's go down to the Liberty on our coin, and we see that there might be doubling right here. Yeah, doubling right here. So I would like to see some other pictures, but this is a close match. I would have to see a lot more clear pictures from my perspective that to call it an FS 102. But this is actually a really decent example. I would like to have some pictures of the actual coin, kind of better pictures like this, where I could actually use all of that there we see. So yeah, I would say that this is probably a 102 or something very similar to this. So this particular one, 1972 DDO, yes, this I think is actually accurate. Now, I would like to see, especially if it's a DDO, and knowing how many DDOs that actually exist for the 1972, there is 10 that is listed here. I would like, to know exactly which one it is. Now, being a purchaser of said item, I can use the pictures as long as they are good quality to basically attribute what die variety that it actually is, so that I can determine which one that I would like to get. And then comes the pricing. Well, the pricing, $150 for a coin that is in brown circulated condition. That to me seems like it's kind of high. And what I would do is I would go on to both NGC and PCGS, and I would look at mintage figures, not mintage, not um, um, the census of how many coins that this particular a variety has already listed. And then I would look at sold listings on eBay to determine what the type of valuation for this particular coin would be. Now, if you look at your red book, I'm pretty sure that there might be one. 1 second. Let me double check. Because there are some of the bigger varieties of Lincoln Cents that have listings or notes in the 1971. Okay, yeah, right here. Okay, so right here, I'm gonna hide this for a second. So this is the newest one, and right here it's got listings for 1972 double die obverse in brown and red, brown and red. So there are um, some reference material out there that will give you an idea of possibly how much value it is. Now, double die obverse brown, it doesn't say which double die obverse, but it does say MS63 is $360. So this one being at 150, and this is brown, and definitely not an MS63. I think it's kind of high, for my perspective. Now, if it was a rare die variety, that could command a premium. But overall, like, props to this seller. They did describe this coin accurately. It is a DDO. Again, I would like to see it being attributed to the correct DDO, but props to the seller. So let's find another one. So Blues and I have been going through the errors, and I'm literally only on the second page of errors, and that really is really kind of sad, for how many errors that are listed on eBay, because there is a vast majority of these quote unquote error coins. They're not actually error coins. Let's find another one. RPM. Ah, there we go. Let's take a look at this one. Okay, this listing says that it is a 1993 penny with of missing and AM touching. So, kind of the problem that we have is, okay, so the OF is going to be of, and it's going to be on the reverse. This could be any number of things. This could be a version of struck through grease, where there is grease or foreign materials in that is plugged up the design, or it could be wear postman damage on the actual coin that has eliminated or reduced the OF, and then the AM touching. The A and the M touching is that is the intended design. So that is exactly what it should be. Now, there are some die varieties where the A and M either don't touch, or wide, or do touch, and that's going to be dependent to just a few years. The A and the M, so 1998, 99, and 2000 are what are called the wide AMs. And the wide AMs are basically proof dies that were used to strike circulation coinage. And that design for the AM for the wide is on the proof. There are some circulation strikes that have it. On the 1992 and 92D, the proof coinage has a close AM. or the A and the M that are touching. So 1993, it is the intended design is the A and the M are touching. So the OF is missing off of this coin. Could be a number of things. Based off the coloration, I would probably say, if I had to just take a guess on it, that it is probably a struck through grease, but not anything that I would consider as having significant value. So this coin being listed at $15. It's brown. It's a 93D. Like, there just isn't enough value in what's on the coin that would determine for me that this coin is worth $15. Maybe if somebody was collecting, struck through grease coins and wanted examples of different versions, they might pay a couple of dollars for this, but for me, definitely not worth $15. So here's one that is 1998, close AM, no mint mark. So going back to the piece that we talked about earlier, no mint mark. No mint mark is for circulation coinage, is absolutely, the link it sent is absolutely the expected outcome. The only ones that have a no mint mark error or no mint mark are proof coins that absolutely should have a mint mark anytime that they are struck. So if we look at the reverse, so this is a 1998 is going to be a Philadelphia because it doesn't have a mint mark. And so they are saying that it's touching. And yes, they are touching. It's because that's the intended design for the 1998. Remember, 1998, 99, 2000, Philadelphia, we're looking for the wide AM. That is the sought after variety. The close AM is what the intended design, and it is extremely common. The overall condition of the coin is kind of rough, but again, there's no errors, there's no varieties on this coin, and absolutely not worth $225. When just a little bit of research and a red book, and you would be able to tell that this is absolutely something that you can find in your pocket change, and it's worth exactly that much pocket change. Welcome back.
Welcome back.
You got a good one?
I got something to talk about. Yes.
Okay, you're up.
All right. 1981 D Lincoln Memorial Penny. Red. DDO DDR error coin. So I'm assuming that this picture and this picture is of the coin.
Okay.
Then a couple other pictures of the coin down here. It's not showing nothing, for one thing. It's showing a 1981D coin that's red. I would put that into a red category because it's not brown. But they spent a lot of time pulling these pictures for comparison. This is what it is. So they do got some nice close-ups of it.
I do have one significant problem. There are no listings for any 1981 DDOs.
Yeah.
And none for DDRs.
So, on top, night. You could see where it's rounded, not or it's flat like, which is a good indication of mechanical doubling. Um, the G does look interesting to me, but other than that, I'm not seeing too much.
Click on one of those close-ups.
This one?
Yeah. So that to me doesn't feel like that it has the true like delineation flatness. I mean, it could be just based off the color picture, but to me, that actually looks like light distortion.
Yeah.
Where the light and the shadows basically makes it look like that it's doubled when it's actually not.
Right. And when I was first looking at this, and I'm looking at it more closely now, my first thought on this was these pictures, that one, this one, that one were actually could have been pictures from a website showing the DDO on what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah.
And then they got their coin showing they're showing their coin, which shows that. But I got to give them props. They got some really nice close-up photos. Um, Anybody that is not familiar with um, light distortion, um, mechanical doubling, I could see could get very fooled by this.
So how would you describe of what causes mechanical or strike doubling?
Oh,
Or do
good.
you want me to answer that one?
God.
Sorry.
Blank.
So MD mechanical doubling or strike doubling, it's the same thing. And basically what happens is that you have the dies that come together and strike the coin. Well, when it strikes and it bounces a little bit and comes back down and hits the coin a second time, it will flatten a portion of the design that it just struck. And that way, so you have this nice rounded, and then you have a straight drop down and then a shelf. And that shelf is what you see as the doubling. And that's MD or strike doubling. The biggest key for trying to determine a doubled die and a strike doubled is a strike double or machine doubling will reduce the design size. Doubled dies will increase it.
Yeah. See, there's a good picture right there of the shelf.
And you notice that on each of the letters, it's on the same side. It's on the same side, so it's always at the top. So it's the top side of the bottom loop of the S. It's on the top side of the S. It's on the same sides. So yeah, that would be a strike doubled, and not a DDO DDR.
Yeah.
And definitely not an RPM.
No, that could just be light reflection on what they're pointing at.
Mm-hmm.
They got good pictures of the front and back. Good pictures of the front and back of the coin, so you could see like overall condition. I mean, I like the work that they put into the close-up pictures showing front and back. Education level, maybe not up to par. I don't know how to say it politely.
I think you got it just fine.
So, but these are just good examples of what CJ and I were talking about. Just got to have some type of knowledge, even semi-par knowledge, to even go, okay, maybe let me look this up. Let
Well,
me get an air ref.
I think a little bit of knowledge and just a want to have critical thought, as in, okay, is the coin that is presented reflecting what it's being said that it is, and how would I determine that? Some of that comes with knowledge of the minting process. Other is you just use the guides that are out there, like Variety Vista or Aeroref. Is like, hey, is this I think this is a broad strike or struck through cap die. Like, how do I prove that? Well, let's go back to some of the facts. This coin, the listing is 2024, no mint mark, Lincoln cent, DDO, DDR. These are some of my favorites because the no mint mark. I'm sure if you just went to the error category and you typed in no mint mark, you're gonna find a bunch. And in fact, I'm gonna do that just because now I'm really curious on.
Oh goodness!
Yeah, it's.
I kind of know where this is going.
this is gonna be awesome.
Yeah, we're gonna hurt some feelings tonight.
Okay, so right here. So this is solely the facts of what is going on right here. Yes, there are 61,000 plus results for no mint mark when you're looking on eBay. Like that right there is what myself and many other dealers and people that have talked about in numismatics is that, like, the education and awareness. There is no way that there are 61,000 plus no mint marks. There's not. There physically can't be that many. So do not get fooled. Do not get. There you go. 4,400 plus in the errors category. So there is more than 4,400 listings of no mint marks that I guarantee 99.9% are not actual no mint marks. I guarantee that they are Philadelphia struck coins that don't have a mint mark. Please do not get fooled. Okay. No mint mark, Lincoln cent, DDO, DDR. There's nothing about this that would say that this is DDO. I don't see any extra offsets or anything on this coin. The pictures aren't that really good to be able to tell, but I also don't see any offsets on the 0, which is going to show it the most, or the 4, which is going to show it. And the reverse just looks like a plain reverse. I don't see anything in letters of E pluribus unum, or in the designer initial letters that also would tell me that this would be a double die reverse. So this is just one of those coins that, hey, I found something shiny. This is an error coin. It's absolutely not. It's worth a couple of cents. It's not worth $80. Don't get fooled. Do not get fooled.
I don't know how I feel about this one.
Do you want to go or do you want me to go?
You go ahead.
Okay.
I'm still trolling listings here.
Okay, this one I feel is very intentional. So they are calling this coin an ultra rare 2000p South Carolina quarter strong DDO and DDR. So immediately, this first picture, you could see this extra, like extra flow of metal. This is not a DDO or a DDR. This is pretty significant die deterioration. You see how the top of the A right here flows towards the rim, and you can see it in the rest of the letters. The metal on of when the coin is struck will always flow from center towards the edge. And what will happen is that the metal will flow over the edges of the devices and wear them down. When you have that, that's how you get mushy looking devices, is that it's actually the wearing away of those sharp edges on the die, which is die deterioration. Now, some of this is die deterioration, and some of this is just this coin is strongly circulated, and you can see that with all of these marks and all of these lines. So it's a combination of the two. Is that this is extremely circulated, and there's probably some die deterioration. Again, like there's nothing in this right here. There's nothing extra. Like if you think about how a coin would be a doubled die, there are two dies per coin. So the fact that the chances of both dies when being made were doubled because of an error during the production process, and both of those dies that have potential error defects both come together and strike one coin. Well, number one, let's just call for what it is. Let's say that there's a situation that has two dies, an obverse and a reverse, that are both doubled, and we have a true double obverse and reverse. Each die, depending on a lot of factors, denomination, metal content, like all this other stuff, is going to strike anywhere from 100,000 to a couple million coins. Well, that right there, that scenario would already put this not ultra rare. So that itself cannot exist. So this is just one of those examples where it is clearly somebody who is does not understand the minting process and is calling significant wear. Like right here, you can see the metal flow towards the rim. This is die deterioration. This is pretty significant die deterioration. Yeah, this is all die deterioration. Die deterioration and circulation. So this coin is worth face value. It is not worth $250. This is saying that it's lightly circulated, which I would call this a lot more than lightly when it's fully discolored. So is not lightly. But even says that but shows poor die states. Well, you actually called it for what it might be, is die deterioration. That's not DDO DDR. Those two have nothing to do with each other. One is a state of the dies, and one is a variety in how the die is made. Those are not mutually exclusive. So this is not one of those that it's not at all what it is. It's worth exactly pocket change.
I haven't found any. I found a bunch of coins I'd like to own that are actually correct.
Well, I mean, we could pull another one up to call out, good examples of listings on what to actually look for.
All right, let me go back one page because there is one up here. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I'll probably never find it now. That wasn't it. That's not it.
This listing says 1946 S Lincoln cent wheat penny error. So the only pictures is just the obverse of the coin, reverse of the coin. You can see how pretty messed up this coin is. Fully brown, very heavily circulated on both the obverse and the reverse. But what they're calling an error is this E and the B that's been mutilated. Again, like this is not a mint error. This is not an error coin. This coin is not worth $25. Please don't buy anything like this. This is not an error. This is post mint damage because this design can't exist during the minting process. All right, what you got?
All right. I found a seller with a 2015 Philadelphia
Okay.
Lincoln Shield Cent DDO. The seller did the research
Okay.
and he got it marked as WDDO, which is through the Wexler website.
Yeah.
W. He's got it down to that it's number 006. And then the A224 is probably his inventory system for the way he inventories his coins.
Okay.
Got a real nice picture of the front and the back of the coin, so you could see if there's any carbon spots, any damage. You could look at grade for yourself. Got a nice close up of one of the key areas for the DDO.
So click on that one and make that one bigger. So especially the zero right there. Just take a look at the zero and look at some key parts of. Now this is going to be specific towards shield sense, but this is an excellent example of what to look for. Do you see how the design of the O is like elongated, and the fact that it's not like the same size all the way around, where the bottom left and the top right, there are thinner sections of the O. That would be a very, very clear and definitive way to say, hey, there's something that happened with this die during the production that makes it not uniform.
All right. So there's Liberty, which is another point to look at. Let me go down. Let me see what he has in the description here. Okay. The only suggestion that I would have for anybody that's looking for like this particular coin for their collection or to own is spend a few minutes, go to the Wexler site, make sure it's attributed correctly. Because some of them are close on some of this stuff, especially with like the RPMs.
Can you look at any of the Liberty? Okay, so some key points to look at is we see the slants on the top of the T and the notches on the bottom of the Y and the T. So just kind of keep that right there. So let me pop this up real quick. So this is Wexler's number 6. So here's the Liberty, and here's the angled T, and here's the notches in the bottom of the Y, the bottom of the T, bottom of the E, bottom of the R, and you can see the B has the holes kind of towards the top. So when I bring Blues back up on if he's going to come on, stand by. I'm going to bring this one back up. So now go to the B in Liberty. So you can see where the
It's actually
holes
a
are.
better. You could actually see it better this way.
So you can see the wide side of the right side of the Y, the T. You can see the notches. So this is a um, really good reference to number 6.
Yep. So I got to give this seller some props.
Yep, I would agree.
He did the research, found out which one it was. Instead of just putting DDO and the pictures, he actually did the research and said this is the Wexler 006. So the I mean, real nice photos of the front and back of the coin, so you could look at and make your own determination for grade. And it's actually a pretty nice looking coin. It's that's not bad. Oh man, look at that U. Jeez.
Nice.
Oh,
I like that.
yeah. Real nice close up photos showing all this stuff. All right. So there's a good one.
Yeah, that is a good one. All right, this is a 1991 Lincoln double die error penny uncirculated. So number one, if you're gonna call it a variety, it is doubled with a D. Doubled die, not double die. It's just one of those things. So the reason why I brought this one up is that there's a few things that we can learn from the zinc era or the Zinkins of the Lincoln Memorial set. And this actually provides a few good examples of that. So this one is calling it a double die. They don't say whether it's an obverse or reverse. There's a lot of key factors that I'm going to go into that would make somebody think that it's a double die. So some first things that we're going to see is that if we look at the 1991, to go back and reference post 1983 and post 1983, the Lincoln cents were struck with zinc cores with a very thin plating of copper. Now there is a lot of issues that they had with zinc cores because zinc is a lot harder than the copper that was used before. So they had a lot of deterioration issues in the 80s and in the early 90s. So what we can see is that we can see the die deterioration, which looks like extra numbers going towards the rim. That's the key part that I want to focus on, is that if you have like extra numbers, extra letters, extra devices that are flowing towards the rim, that is 99.9% die deterioration, because as the coin is struck, it is pressed out towards the outside. And that's where that stretch in the metal, the flow of the metal, that's where you get die deterioration, and that's how it comes across in the zinc coins. The other thing that we're going to see is that we're going to see it's going to be much more present on the reverse for the what they think that is the double die. But the other thing I wanted to bring this up is that you'll see this ridge right underneath the letters, right underneath the second 9 right here, and you're going to see this is often called like a ridge ring. And basically what it is just another form of die deterioration. Again, it's not an error, it's not a variety, it's just a form of really heavy die wear. When these zinc based zinc core coins are struck, very common with zinc coins. So now we're going to go to the reverse, and here's specifically why I wanted to show this, is that you see all this extra like devices all going towards the rim. So all the way around. Where there's a couple things that are going to happen with the zinc coins again, and it's based off of how they're made. There's a zinc core with a very, 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 very thin copper plating on top, right? A copper layer. One is that there is, because the copper is very soft, any kind of deformation or anything that exists in that is happening to the zinc underneath, it is going to reflect on the face of the coin. So all of these that have all this extra lines and everything, that is just deformation due to die deterioration of the zinc that's reflecting into the copper. It is not a double die. The other thing that you're gonna get on the zinc, which we will see, I'm sure, is that especially around the edges of the devices, is that it will be stretched out too much, and the copper plating will split open, and that will show the zinc core underneath, and that zinc core is going to be silver colored or gray colored. So that's going to stand out on the coin. Well, that sometimes especially in the zinc coins, will come across as it'll make it look like that it's a like repunchment mark or extra, extra device with or basically will make it look like that it's a double die when it's really not. So split plating is very, very common in the zinkins, and it's not a variety. It's not an error. It's just the nature of the coin. But I like this example because it really stands out as a core example of 80s and early 90s for the zinc production liquid sets.
Oh, I was listening to you instead of searching.
That's fine.
Sorry. I'm just making sure my information that I know is being refreshed too.
Okay, I got one here. So I'm gonna get your take on this coin. So this is Proof Like BU Red 1998 Denver Lincoln Memorial Penny with DDO variety. So there's your obverse. There's your reverse. This is what looks like PCGS. That is basically saying that this is a $225 coin. Part of America. This is on the reverse. That's on the reverse. Their obverse. That's an obverse picture. An ear. Trust. What are your thoughts?
I want to ask this question because I don't know the answer to it.
Sure.
I know on the Morgans there was proof like on business strike coins.
Okay.
Is that the same for current coins?
So let me ask you a question. What determines what proof like is?
If I would to put something on it, it'd be to me to be like the first 500 coins that die produced, because that's going to be the best looking coins made from that die is going to be the first strike ones.
But what characteristics that you could see on a coin would determine it being proof like? And so I'm just asking this because
Yeah.
this is the part where it's like understanding the minting process, but also asking critical questions. And it's not necessarily right or wrong question. So if you don't want to answer, that's totally fine, and I can I
No,
can.
no, no, we're good.
Okay.
We will,
So
we will,
what
we will get through this.
what would determine a coin? What kind of characteristics would you see on a coin that would tell you that it is a proof or proof like?
Um, I, I can't think of the word shininess.
So mirror fields
Yeah, okay, yeah, mirror fields,
and
the quality of the strike
okay.
is two things that I would look at.
So in some proofs, it's going to be cameo or the appearance of possible cameo. So cameo is going to be the frosted devices. So the greater the contrast between the mirror fields and the frosted devices, that gives you between proof like or proof. It's going to give you cameo, which there's going to be more of a contrast. And then there's going to be ultra cameo or deep cameo, which is going to be the strongest contrast.
Okay, yeah, that I do know. I thought we were talking about this business strike coin and
So
what makes it proof like on a business strike.
So the number one thing that I would say on this particular coin is that it's missing a key element for me. It doesn't have mirrored fields,
Not on that picture.
nor on that picture.
It's shiny.
Shiny, yes, but there's nothing about this that would be proof-like. Proof-like is something that would have some kind of mirrored fields, not reflective, mirrored.
I'm trying to click on on the other pictures of the coin so I can see what it looks like.
So you
There
can
we
see
go.
you can see that there's no mirror. There's no polishing on this. Now, it's very reflective. It's very shiny. That does not determine that it is a proof like.
It's a nice
No,
looking coin.
absolutely. It's got a few defects. It's really kind of washed out with the light. Um, but I mean, there are some defects on it. So, in a general sense, this is not anything that I would call proof like. It is definitely not a DDO. Now, but let's talk about what it could be. What it could be is that it could be a higher grade MS strike coin. So mint state strike coin. On as far as a general consensus, your right out of the roll coin is going to be in a ballpark of about 60 MS62 to MS64, maybe MS65, but like two to four is going to be kind of your ballpark of the coins that you're going to find straight out of a roll. So when you could find some that don't have a lot of dings like um, surface marks or coin dings or edges from other coins that have marred up the surface. When you could find some of those and they're higher MS, especially being in a circulation style coin or a coin that's made for circulation, those higher MS do command a higher premium. Um, However, there is really nothing about this coin that would signify to me that there is any DDO features, and definitely not proof like. It would not command $189. I don't like this reference because it is a very broad reference that it is, what I can extrapolate the seller thinks that this is that this is a perfect coin when it's not. And grading, I'm not going to give it a grade because number one, grading is extremely subjective, and the pictures aren't well enough for me to give it a grade. But in the condition that it's in, it's very reflective, it's very shiny. However, not a proof. What I would want to see on a proof like, especially a modern proof, is I would want to see mirrored fields, like truly mirrored fields and very frosted devices. Because if you look at any of the modern proofs, they are extremely cameo, bright, brilliant frosted devices and deep, dark mirrored fields. That is the consistent. That is the standard for proofs. So I would assume that the same thing would go to anything that is proof like. So that's my takeaway on this one. But shiny, yes. Does it command a $200 price tag? No.
No. Which also goes back to learning how to grade coins or have an idea on how to get a coin close to a grade with your own knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I got one with questions. I even have questions.
Oh, okay.
Okay, let me dissect this.
Hit it.
2014 quarter. I'm assuming it's a 2014. I can't see anything with a clear picture of a date on it. That's all right. He's got, oh, there it is right there. Yep, 2014. Definitely a quarter. There is definitely some rippling. There's that word again. Effects going on with this. And my first thought is this coin was in a fire.
So heat damage, yes. I would call that. Now, in a fire and heat damaged, they don't have to be mutually exclusive. Yes, it could have been a fire.
Okay, heat damage.
But yes, I would very much agree that that is a very excellent example of heat damage, which
kind of looked like they also cleaned the soot and everything off of it so it doesn't show burn marks, I guess. Yeah, that mountain's seen better days. Now, don't get me wrong. I think the coin is cool looking personally because you just don't come across this stuff. You see them on eBay.
well, but okay, let's be realistic though. Is that um, cool looking
Does not
is one thing. A coin having numismatic value, being an
right.
error coin is something completely different.
Right. Yeah. Cool does not always mean more money. But if I was going through a collection or going through stuff and I found a heat damage coin, oh yeah, I'm going to mark it as heat damage and I'm going to keep it just because I don't own one.
Right. So yeah, I would 100% agree with your assessment on this one. It's going to be heat damage, and again, that can only happen post mint. So it's a damaged coin. It's not an error coin.
Yes. So he was close.
I don't know if I would necessarily call that close.
Well, he got 3 out of the 5 words correct in or 4 out of the 5 words correct in the listing. Not trying to call anybody out here, but maybe that was wrong. I'm sorry.
So we've got a 1984 P Lincoln Cent, die cracker, struck off centered, DDR and DDO. So let's dissect the title on this one. Having that many errors and varieties happen at one time, again, 99.9% impossible. It does not happen. Now, I will say that the 1984 P for Philadelphia, they did get that part right. There's no mid mark, which means that it was struck at Philadelphia. So the designation 1984 P Lincoln Memorial Center, 100% correct. It's 100% correct. Die crack error. I was looking through the pictures and I don't see anything that is a die crack. Here's what I think that they are referencing. So they have a bunch of pictures all from different angles, which is great. Here's what I think they're talking about. I think they're talking about this part right here. So let's talk about another thing that we can that we will see in the Lincoln set, specifically the zinc. The zinc scent that we will see is we will see gas bubbles from the oxidization of zinc underneath the copper plating, which leads to plating blisters or plating bubbles. That's what this looks like. This looks like plating blisters or plating bubbles. I don't think that this is anything that is a die cracker. I don't see any die cracks or anything on here. Any pictures of it that would designate anything of the sense. Now, so let's address the next identified error in the title. Struck off centered. So struck off centered. So we can see most of rim here, minor rim here, all of the devices on this side. So let's go to the reverse and we can see rim here, full rim on all four sides, and the design pretty squarely centered on this side. Maybe a little more rim here than here. This is not an off-centered. This at most would be a slightly misaligned just on the obverse, but since it's not eliminating any of the devices or any parts of the coin, it's a misaligned die and it does not bring any extra value to the coin. So you can find the mad or misaligned die strikes very commonly. I have several in my collection that I've collected over the years, just because it was part of my learning process. And then DDR, DDO, again, some of those things that we learn from the Zinkins is that we're going to see extra letters and extra devices towards the rim, as we see right above here. This is not a DDO. This is not a DDR. So this coin is exactly what it is. It is a 1984 Philadelphia zinc with a slight misaligned on the obverse. This is not an error coin. It does not have any of the errors that are identified. It is not a DDR. It is not a DDO. And it's definitely not worth $250. Don't get bamboozled by listings like this.
I have nothing. I'm trying to find stuff we haven't talked about before.
This was harder to see, but I'll put this one up. So this listing is 1977 Denver Repunch D Midmark. So I like how they have a picture and they have an arrow pointing towards the Midmark because the Midmark is going to be somewhere else, I guess. But on closer inspection, what you actually see here is just that the coin has had some kind of ding on the letter D, which has flattened it out, which makes it look like that it's repunched Midmark. If there was a and the reason why I can tell this is that if it was a repunched Midmark, there would be more letter somewhere. So if it was rotated, we're going to see extra parts, whether it's got more like an extra tail where it's got a split on the bottom left or the top right. But this actually reduces the design, which means that it's not repunch min mark. So this is an example where the notion was correct, as in it could possibly be that, but taking into account that there it reduces the design, it's not actually a repunch min mark. So I'm going to double down on that, and I'm going to look up repunch min marks for of 77 Denver to see if there are any identified, and there's none on Variety Vista, which further reinforces the fact that it is not an RPM, and not anything but damage. Something that I know Blues and I have talked about in the past is that assume damage, prove otherwise, because that will identify 95% of the coins that you ever come across. It's so much easier to just in your own, I guess, sense that assume that it's damaged, but prove otherwise. And by proving otherwise, it is find the reference that references what it should be, or find you should be able to explain what it is. And there are things that Blues and I have looked through on eBay, or have coins that we've come across and said, hey, I just need a second set of eyes on this, and that we kind of bounce off each other. So here's what I think it is, and here's how I'm explaining what it is. And there are coins that that him and I have gone back and forth for half an hour on, and we both are explaining kind of like, well, it could be this, but if it was this, like this, these are some of the other things that we would see if it was actually this, and then we would have to prove that point, because if it's only got one piece but not all these other things that come into as part of that process, then it can't be that. It's got to be damage.
Yeah, we've had some great discussions going through coins. Can we talk about this one?
Sure. I don't know what this one is, but
well, hold on a minute. I'm trying to figure out what button. That's not the right button there. I almost took myself off the whole thing. Mainly because I got questions.
Okay.
Okay, so never heard of terminology unfaced.
So unfaced is actually an incorrect designation. What they were intending, I'm assuming, is unifaced.
Okay, which kind of brings me down to this picture. Okay, so that'd be uniface. Okay, so that was an error in the spelling on the listing.
So I don't think that they meant to call it a uniface, because it doesn't. Like, I know what they're trying to describe, except for it's not describing it accurately, because it's got a full reverse, right? Okay, so it's got a full reverse, and you do see like design parts of the obverse.
Right.
So it's not unfaced. Now, white AM from the 92 means absolutely nothing.
Right.
So I don't know why they put that in there. Now, this is a very interesting one that you brought up, because I can tell you what I think it is.
I could tell you what I think it is too.
Okay, what do you got?
I think it's a cap die.
I think it's a strike through cap die.
A struck through cap die, yeah.
I mean, those are different things.
But now here's a little kicker to it.
Why is that a kicker?
I only associated my knowledge. I associate that rim with the bezel for a piece of jewelry or a belt buckle that slips into.
Okay. I mean that could be. So let's take a look at. So Ahref has actually a very good example. So put that obverse up. I wish I could add like an additional screen, but I'm unable to because I am not. I'm not cool enough for that. So take show actually. Let me do this. Let me do this for a second. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a quick screenshot of that,
Right.
and then I am going to.
So he has it listed as a large date. Really can't determine if it's large date or small date by the photo. Wide AM is irrelevant.
Okay, so this right here is a struck through late stage die cap. This is on ahref.com. So here is the screenshot that I took from the listing, and if we look down, like it looks very much like a like basically this is going to be an early because as it strikes through and it gets thinner and thinner and thinner, it's going to show more of the design. So this is going to be an earlier version of a struck through die cap, where you have a full reverse, and then the obverse is struck through other material that's blocking the design. So that looks very much like this. So I would call it a struck through die cap.
So it wouldn't be a uniface.
No. So what I think that they are basically calling it is, I think they're calling it unfaced, is in there's not an obverse face to the coin when it's technically not accurate. It's there, it's just weak. Now, if it was completely blank and flat, that would be unifaced.
Okay.
Where you have a full reverse, but for some whatever reason you got nothing on the obverse, then that would be a uniface. So I don't think unfaced is the appropriate term. I think the correct term for that particular coin, or that example, is going to be a struck through cap die. But your point of the edge is a little concerning.
Okay. Not talking about this coin in particular.
Okay.
But what are your thoughts about getting coin information from AI overview?
So there's plus and minuses. It can get you to some information. However, a lot of the AI, especially Google AI, puts multiple things together that don't actually apply together. So it can tell you that it is a uniface coin just because somebody searches error coin, one-sided or whatever, and it's only going to look at that, and it doesn't really take the understanding or the learning process of, okay, what do I see? What are the things that I can see based off this coin that's in front of me, as far as, okay, it's got a full reverse. Okay, so it is a full strike. We're going to take a look at the edge. Maybe a little subject. But then the obverse have it having a more like an abrupt rim, or like a raised rim beyond just what a standard coin is, and having a muted design on the obverse, that means that understanding the minting process on how coins are struck, there is something that is blocking, that is in between the base coin and the face of the die, that
Mm-hmm.
is muting the design. Now, there could be a post mint option for that, where somebody took, stuck a coin into a metal holder and was striking like a wooden rod into it. That's technically a possibility, um, but it has the consistency of being a strike through capped die.
Yeah. So just because AI says that this is what it is, don't always believe it.
No, and that's where like it will help you get you into the general range, but for awareness and for knowledge, you should be using your references, Ahrefs,
Error.
Variety Vista, Red Books, like those kind of things that are known and standard references for coin, coin, coin production and numismatics.
There we go.
That was actually a good one.
I'm like, all right, what's an unfaced coin? That one made me ask questions.
I think that would be one of those that I would be like, I don't know what to call this, so I'm gonna call this this. That it's only got one face of the coin, so it's gonna be unfaced. Like I absolutely understand that.
Yeah, and then when they brought up the information on AI, it actually brought up information for the Uniface coin, which should have been broad struck cap die.
So, and the other thing that you can do is um, go into Ahrefs and actually just type in a search of uniface. So a uniface is an off-center struck in which the coin is struck against an underlying or overlaying planchet. So basically, it's only got one side, and the other side is completely blank. That's where uniface comes in, because there's only one side or one face, and the other side is completely blank. So uniface would be an incorrect description of the coin presented because it does not fit the attributes of what a uniface is.
Okay, so Uniface is one side struck, the other side blank.
Yeah.
Basically a blank planchet.
Yeah. And basically, it's going to come a lot about something as being it. Yeah. Yeah. Just keep it at that. Keep it simple.
Keep it simple.
So uniface, one face. And because we saw design elements on the obverse, it's not a uniface. Oh, this is a good one. I like this one.
All right, you go ahead. I got to go.
Okay. So I'm going to bring this one up. This one is a 1981, and it is woody. So let's try to. We're gonna talk about what a woody coin is. So a woody coin is going to be a description of coins. Generally, they were coins that were struck earlier in the wheat series. Generally, however, there are some older ones, um, and that goes back to the improper mixing of the base metals. And when the metal, after it was mixed, was rolled out and flattened to be struck, those impurities were stretched out, which basically made it look like wood lines or made it look like wood, where it's got like different colors of like wood grain. That's why coins are called woodies. Um, I know that our good friend, dear friend, Coin Dragon, he has an excellent collection of wood grain cents that he keeps in his Dansko. That he has a very good collection of them. So the Woodies are really definitive towards the earlier of the Lincoln wheats, and up until even the 40s, you can get some. Now, there are some coins in the 80s that like late 70s, early 80s, before the zinc cents came out, that have really abnormal ob, uh, abnormal finishes or the looks of the coin. That a lot of people call them woodies. Now, here's a couple of things that has been talked about a lot. Number one, a wood grain is improper mixing of materials. Now, the late 70s and early 80s, it wasn't a mixing of materials, and the fact that these woodies come across with straight lines, where the wood grains are going to be very organically kind of shown, right? It's going to be flowing patterns, and it's going to be, swirls and globs and that kind of stuff. These late 70s or early 80s, these lined coins are going to be straight lines straight across the coin. So what is talked about, and as far as what I understand as the general knowledge for these late 70s, early 80s wood grain coins, is that there were dirty rollers. So there was, in the rolling process of rolling out the metal, that there was impurities either on the rollers or some kind of quality issue, that rolled um, these imperfections into the coins, um, before they were struck. So if you look at this example, it is only shows on the front and not on the back. So it wouldn't be a woody, because a wood grain would be throughout the coin, both front and back, because it's the whole metal. And these are very, very straight lines straight across the coin. So I have a couple of these, and they are kind of cool to find, but they're actually not wood grain at all, and is just a. This is one that I would say could potentially fall under the error market, because it is technically I guess, a problem in the production process, but it's not. They're not uncommon. I don't think that they're really an error enough to define them as of bringing additional value, other than it's cool. It's kind of cool to look at.
Yeah, yeah. Those roller marks. I mean, there are some really nice examples with some cool features that are on them. And it's kind of like you make, oh man, it ain't worth a lot, but I'd sure like to own one like that. It's the cool factor is what it is, and I like cool factor stuff, even though there's no real value to it.
So here is an example of an improper mix or wood grain. Is that, like, you can see like the different globulations of different materials and on how it's mixed. These are woodies or wood grains. So like this one right here, it's got a big strip of tin or zinc in it, which shows out. So these are excellent examples of improper alloy mix or wood grain.
Yeah.
I was looking for an example of the
Tiger stripe.
uh, yeah, but I thought that there was one that was um, that they had actually talked about the late 70s, early 80s coins with the straight roller marks.
Uh,
I thought that
yeah.
I saw something somewhere.
Um, just to go back on the wood grain, not all wood grain coins that are true wood grains are equal to each other, because there's some of them that have certain patterns on them that will command higher prices because of what it is. The tiger stripe one is a big one. They will command a higher price because of the effect that it produced. Um, Coin Dragon was in the chat, and he has a great collection of wood grain coins.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Is that he's got a dance school of just woodies. Kind of
Yay!
jealous of that one.
Yeah, I am too. I've seen some of his stuff, and it's like, oh my goodness. Want? I haven't come across anything we really haven't talked about going through pages.
I'm only on page 4.
Oh, well, I'm doing a little bit different search than you, so
Hidden says CJ's Blues. Both of your gentlemen would be excellent instructors during summer seminars at the ANA, teaching errors and varieties. Well, Hannon, I'll tell you what, man. If that is something that I can get involved with, I would absolutely love to do something like that, because something that I have definitely been very proud of, and something that I've always strived towards. And the whole reason why I'm doing this is the education portion and the awareness portion of understanding points. Like, I've always been about the history. I've always been about learning. I've always been about, like, teaching what to look for. How to tell these certain things. The whole reason why that I'm making um, a little minting figure is so that I can describe. Here's the face. This is the collar, and how it connects, how it's struck with the die. And I specifically have it built like this so that I can show, um, the deflection of a loose collar or a tilted collar, and the fact where, the actual striking chamber, which is inside the collar between the two die faces, and it gives us offset strikes, it gives us broad strikes, it gives us a lot of different aspects of all of these things, so that I can actually show how that error is made. Um, you know, just because there is no I have not found that there's any material, that actually shows how these are made, other than just examples of what they are. So that's where I'm going.
yeah. Education is key.
So I got another one.
Got another one?
So this is 1946. Jeep and John, what is up, man? I haven't seen you in a long time.
What's going
40,
on, Deacon, man?
46 wheat penny, no mint mark, with the error L on the rim. So number one, this is a very, very well worn, no mint mark, which means it is struck at Philadelphia, just like we know. And this is what I was talking about as far as the L on the rim. The L on the rim is, I would, if anybody out there watching this, or can point me towards any kind of documentation, or some kind of early air book that defined the L on that is right against the rim as being an error or variety, I would like to know, because I will do a video just on that, on describing where that even come from, because that is so prevalent, just like no mint mark errors, that it has to originate from somewhere. I just don't know where. I have never been able to find anything about it. But there's nothing that is destroying the device. There's nothing that's destroying the overall design. It's not muted. It's not folded over. It's not cut off. There's nothing wrong with this coin, other that it's super circulated. 1946, super common. Let's see what our mintage is. Back to our red book.
Oh, wait a minute. I could look this up while you keep talking.
Okay. You want to give me a mintage on 1946 Philly?
1946, 991 million.
Okay, so we're just under a billion. So there's nothing rare about this coin. This is a pretty common coin, very well circulated. There's no errors on this coin, and the no mint mark thing is not a thing. Lincoln cents that were struck in Philadelphia did not carry a mint mark, except for 2017. So this is an example of somebody who just picked up a coin and said, "Hey, this is worth money because something somewhere told me that it did," and hence the $300 price tag. Is absolutely not. It's worth 3 to 4 cents, basically worth um, the the copper in it, or to wheat collectors 3 or 4 cents. Other than that, it's not worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just at the World Fair of Money here in Oklahoma City, and the ANA was part of that. And unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to go to any of the seminars that they offered on grading, errors, um, varieties, stuff that they teach about.
This one is 1988D. Lincoln said DDO, DDR, RPM. Again,
Man,
it's
all
that
three on one coin.
it can't happen. And so this is actually what I was talking about earlier when we have the zinc, the copper plating on the zinc coins, right? Post 1983, is that you actually have a small split in the copper plating right here, which is giving this appearance of having a repunch. Now so we're seeing it here and we're seeing it right here. So this darkened area, that is actually the oxidized zinc that is showing through the split copper plating. So this right here is just split plating. It's not an RPM. Everything about this, we have a very strong, um, you know, um, metal flow towards the rim. So this is not an RPM, not a DDO, not a DDR. Again, you can see all of this extra. This is extremely common with a zinc sense. So again, this is one of those things that they have it 50% off right now. They had this coin at $400, selling it for a bargain of a price at $199. Absolutely, this is the ignorance level on somebody who is presenting coins to be purchased when it's not actually what it is. Just it kills me. It so much kills me. Hey, John, welcome in.
Hey, John. Oh my goodness.
2007 missing D. Missing D. I like this one. I like this one. Okay. So this one is being claimed that it's missing the D mint mark. And so that to me looks like actually a 2007 that's struck at Philadelphia, which doesn't have a mint mark. So I'm not sure exactly where you get that is
Okay.
missing. Yeah, so they're calling it a. So this is an AI description, so this doesn't help. But they're saying that this is missing the D mint mark. So no, it's not
Yeah.
actually missing the mint mark. Struck in Philadelphia, so it shouldn't have a mint mark. So I'm not sure why that somebody would assume that it's missing the D mint mark. Um, because that's
Because the no mint mark craze has run its course, so now they made up something different.
okay. This brings up a very important piece. So let's talk about this. Missing a mint mark. So going back to the die production. Now this is assuming this is Denver in 2007. Denver made their own dies, so they wouldn't have a missed a mint mark because they would have it instead of being added separately, it would have been part of the original engraving process.
Right.
So they wouldn't have missed it because it would be missing the entire engraving because it was part of the original program. Now, from until 1988, 89, I think 89, the the dies were produced in Philadelphia and then sent to the respective facilities where they added their mint marks by hand punches. That's where you get the hand punched or repunched mint marks. Is that you have somebody who has a letter punch, and literally just drives it with a hammer to drive the mint mark into the face of the die. And sometimes if it bounces or they get it crooked, so they have to do it again and they strike it again, that's a repunch mint mark. That's where a repunch RPM comes from. These more modern dies, it's part of the actual manufacturing process. And post 1989, there cannot be any repunched because they weren't punched. They were part of the actual production process of the dies and were not punched. So you can't have any 1999, 1990 or newer repunch mint marks because that's not part of the process.
Can you imagine Denver making their dies and they actually forgot to put the mint mark on and they're like, well, we'll just send these to Philadelphia. They could use them.
So what? Well, I mean, it's actually happened before, but not in the same sense. So there have been on more than one year where where one mint has needed additional working dies to strike coins after they ran out or they destroyed the dies that they had. So that's where we get the over mint mark varieties. So examples are like 1954 DRS or S over D, where Denver sent a die that was already struck with their mint mark and sent it to San Francisco. And since there were coins being struck at San Francisco, it needed San Francisco's mint mark. So they struck it basically through or over the top of the Denver mint mark. Well, those two shapes, the S and the D, are two entirely different shapes. So you can actually see portions of both mint marks.
It just amazes me that somebody thought that was a good idea.
What, the sending of dies or
No, just punching over another mint mark with theirs
that would be
instead
the
of
that's
maybe polishing the mint mark off and then
you
adding
you
it.
you
Oh,
couldn't.
that's right, because it's infused.
It's in use. You would eliminate most of the design by doing that.
Yeah, that's
So
right. It's infused.
that is the only way to do it. So this one
Well,
is 1998 proof like no mint. Again, this is one of those things that is that kind of just to me looks like a money grab because there's nothing about this coin that says proof,
no,
especially for modern age. This is not a proof. There's no mirror fields. There's no frosted devices, and if even if you look at especially the jacket right here, it's flatter. So this is a late stage die, business strike die for Philadelphia. This is not a proof. There's nothing about this that would be proof or proof-like. It's not. This is a standard business strike. And if you guys want to tell like the difference between business strikes and proofs, go to my channel. I have videos where I have both proof and business strike videos and examples of what to look for to see if it's a business strike or if it's a proof. And everything about this says that this is a standard business strike. (1941) DDO, double die obverse or bad die strike. So, what's your thought on this one? What do you think?
What? Double die obverse or looks flat. Looks like it took a hit.
Now, looking at the overall condition of the coin, it's rough. It's been used and abused. This is flat. Letters up here are flat. This is damaged. You can see the wear right here on the jacket, especially right here across the cheek, where it's a lighter color than the rest of the coin. This is a super worn coin. This has nothing to do with the way that it was made. It's just a heavy circulated coin, and that's all there is to it. Like, it doesn't need to be in error. It's nothing. It's just a well circulated coin. So, not a DDO, not a double die obverse, not a bad die strike, because this is all post mint. This is a great example of an extremely circulated coin, because it physically can't come out of the mint looking like this. It's not how it works. It's not how it's designed. Don't be fooled. He even calls it circulated. So it's like, you even know what it is. This is just damage. This is post mint damage.
I'm trying to find an example of the 1914D.
Oh, okay.
Where they shaved off from the 44. There's a bunch of fake 1914Ds for sale.
So a lot of something that comes up pretty often is what you have is a 1914D that is modified. And what that is that so 1914D is a key date or semi-key date for the Lincoln cents. And the Lincoln cents of the 1914D has a mintage of just over 1 million. So 1,193,000. So it's an extremely low mintage coin. So obviously those types of coins are going to be worth a lot. The Red Book calls a good for about $220. So what people were doing is that they were taking in 1944 and abrading away the front part of the first four to make it look like a 1914 D. And the biggest way that you can tell that a coin has been modified is the spacing, is that there will be a wider space from the 9 to the 1 than what should be. So we're both looking for examples. I know that we have found examples of them in the past on eBay, which is really kind of frustrating because anyone that has that knows about the 1914D, and really needs one to have one in their collection, like you need to get it. And if you could find it for like $20, well, that's an easy sale. But knowing the rarity of the coin, it's not what it is. Ah, that's a great example.
Yep. This is on the NGC site.
Okay, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, the space between the 9 and the 1 is so wide that this was a 1944 that they just took the other 4 off, so it made that gap really wide. Now when I scroll back up here, you're going to see the normal gap. Nope, that's the wide gap too. Nope, yeah, that's the normal gap. Yeah. See, I can't find nothing.
So, do you still have that picture up or that site? So one thing that I will point out, that is, again, an awareness for collectors, especially newer collectors or maybe novice collectors, is let's take what we see and be critical in what we see. The one thing that sticks out to me that would bring me question to this one is, why does the 1 and the 4 on the outside have a very strong appearance, but the 9 and the 1 is very weak, and especially the 1 is extremely weak? That to me says that there's something that has happened to that 1, or that space between the 9 and the 1, that has removed the metal. It's been altered.
Mm-hmm.
So now if you had like the strength of the strike on the 4 all the way across, yeah, that would be, to me, would be leading towards a more of a chance that something is a legitimate 1914D. But then again, like, you have the space, like there should be a smaller amount of space between the 9 and the 1, to reflect a true 1914D strike.
Yeah. We done with that one?
Yeah.
Okay, because I saw.
Did you find one? I've had some pretty good pictures of some that are like legitimate 1914Ds. But just scrolling through, I haven't seen anything that totally popped out as being like not real. So here's a quick example of what I would consider a legitimate. Is, you see the gap between the 9 and the 1? It's much smaller, and look at the strength of the strike across the digits. It's a little bit worn, but they're all there. So this would lead me to say that this is probably a legitimate 1914D strike.
I thought you could determine the 14D. I mean, if you got the date that looks correct, one of the attributes was mint mark position. Was that on the 14D?
I don't think that was on the 14D. I thought that was the 1909S.
The S. There we go. Yeah. Oh, that was the wrong button. I don't know what I'm doing over here anymore. Oh God, I just got rid of everything. eBay, everything is gone. I just got a blank screen.
That's fine. So we're coming up on almost 3 hours. So we're gonna go ahead and call it for tonight. So again, thank you for everybody coming in. We'll do this again where we are busting eBay to bring awareness and education for everybody out there to make sure that you don't fall victim to improper listings and scams on eBay. Because the more information information and education that we put out there makes for a better community. So if you're watching this or watch parts of it, you have any questions or anything that you want us to bring up and talk about, please put that in the comment section below, and we will pick those up and put them on our next show. So thank you everybody for coming in, and we'll see you next time.